Welcome to Intro Skippers, where an entertainment journalist and an entertainer are friends who love streaming entertainment and are talking to you about it. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jason.
Hi, I like that new intro.
Cool. I'm sure I won't forget it immediately. So before we get to today's topic, how are you? What are you doing with entertainment this week?
I'm good. What am I doing with entertainment this week? My goodness, I am working on a song later today. I'm working on 2 songs later today for 2 separate projects. Then I have rehearsal tomorrow. Then I have another song for another project on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I'm recording a voiceover in a game. And then Friday night, I'm playing D&D. And Saturday, I'm doing something undisclosed.
Oh, cool. You can't break NDA.
Nope.
What am I doing?
It's
well,
more
go
of
ahead.
It's more of a friend DA, but
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Well, what am I doing? I am going out of town to watch a Weird Al concert, which is not really what I'm doing. It's more like what I'm consuming. But isn't that something I'm doing? I just got off a call for it's like a preliminary. It makes no sense. It's like, we're looking for an on-air talent for this thing that we don't have yet, but we're putting in a bid and we don't have very much information. So can you tell us your rate without knowing what this is and what it does and what the scope is? And it's just like, I don't know if I can give you a rate based on that, but I'm just going to write a number and do negotiable next to it. See, the funny thing is nothing is real until after it happens. And before then, it's a lot of BS. And that is what's happening now.
Sometimes even after it happens, it's not real because you do the whole thing and then it doesn't air.
Yeah, it has to air. So you have to do it, has to be done, finalized, then it has to make it to air, then it's real.
Then you have to not be cut out when it makes it to air, because that can happen too, to all of us.
I've seen that happen to a friend who was supposed to be in a network TV show, and then when we watched the premiere, he was barely in it. I think he said 1 word, and then for the rest of the season, he didn't say any words. And then he also mostly didn't appear, and that sucked.
That really sucks.
Yeah. I'm also trying to, let me say this without revealing any specifics. Real ones will know. And everyone else won't care. And that's fine. I'm trying to buy back something that I've worked on in the past that I don't own. And it's very troublesome and it's taking forever and we'll see. Oh, also, one last thing. We are a video podcast now?
Yep.
Sure.
Hi. Here we are.
So we were an audio podcast that did video elements sometimes, and now we're doing it this way.
Yep.
And I think soon we're going to be trying to stream live once we get, more comfortable with this format, which I think should take, I don't know, not that long. And the only issue is we're independent and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's easy when someone else does everything.
Yeah. And we've been on both ends of the spectrum, of course. Luckily, we both stream to Twitch already. So I think streaming our recordings of the podcast to Twitch
it's live streaming to Twitch. So
right. I think, live streaming, but we'll also be recording it for podcast consumers later.
Yeah. So we can cut out any parts that are boring. Or too cool and interesting for everyone.
You can only experience it live.
Yeah.
The coolness.
Speaking of experiencing something live, let's get to today's topic. Did you like that?
That was a great segue.
So today we are talking about Saturday Night, which is the 2024 movie based on the first episode of Saturday Night Live and the 90 minutes of chaos that went up to it. It was directed by Jason Reitman. It's a biographical, I'm going to say that in sarcastic quotes, comedy, I'm going to say that in sarcastic quotes, drama that is basically around that time. And it focuses on Lorne Michaels, the show's creators. He navigates a series of challenges to get his sketch comedy show that no one believes in on the air, or do they? The cast includes, and it's an ensemble cast, and it's huge, Rachel Sennett as Rosie Schuster, Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd, and Ella Hunt as Gilda Radner. Matthew Rhys portrays George Carlin, and Nicholas Braun has dual roles as Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman.
I'm going to hold my tongue because we're going to talk about that, but I don't want to start with that.
Why not? So I previously saw this movie, and Jason was like, I just saw this movie. And I was like, I guess I have to watch it again. And I'm just going to say I didn't really like it the first time. So I tried to go into this clear eyes, give it a shot, give it a real shot. I still didn't really like it. I think it has unbelievable amounts of action, mistakes, and drama. And I say unbelievable because a lot of it did not happen the way it was depicted. It was more about the vibes. This also coincidingly released with SNL's historic 50th season. And I think it sure loves the smell of its own farts. That's a good way of me to say it without getting graphic.
Well, I was actually
graphic.
So I watched it on a plane, and I did watch it again, by the way. So we and I both watched this twice.
We have one short life, Jason.
I know.
Okay, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So when I went to go find it, I was shocked that it wasn't on Peacock because I thought it was because, like you said, it likes the smell of its own farts so much that I thought for sure that like Lorne Michaels had produced it.
He didn't. Shockingly.
And that they were all sort of, and it looks as if they filmed the thing like at. Did they not film it at the actual studio?
I don't know where they actually filmed it, but it does look like the official studio.
Yeah. So I just felt like it was an officially endorsed movie that was just there to glorify the legend of Saturday Night Live.
I mean, maybe unofficially it is because it really does kiss Lorne's ass. Oh, there I said it. I wasn't supposed to say any bad word. I don't think that's a bad word. See, that's where it gets really subjective. So there's this part of the movie where Dick Ebersol goes, Lorne, they don't believe in you. They want you to fail. And it was just like, come on. It reminded me of the movie Antoine Fisher, written by Antoine Fisher, where he was like, I'm still standing. I'm still strong. And it's like, dude, that is what we call telling the legend, which is not really based in reality, or maybe it's loosely based in reality, but it's not really depicting reality. It's more like building the players in place into legend, into gods, into this storied history. It's kind of like the difference between, and I'm not saying this is modern because it's more past, but like making your characters into godlike figures or making your characters into humans. And here it was very much like myth making.
Oh yeah.
Creating a legend. And now, that irritated me. Go ahead.
Full disclosure, I love Saturday Night Live. I
do too. I was so excited to see this.
Yeah, I've watched it my whole life. I was way too young to see this in, this cast, but I've seen reruns of it and know that they're all legends. Mm-hmm. But I felt like at a certain point, anyone who's in production at all, who's been in any kind of production, knows how unrealistic, how they kept going back to the clock and the clock was ticking and, it's 11:05 and John Belushi's on the skating rink when they're supposed to go live. Like, we all know how much BS that was, right? Like, even if all those events really did happen, there's no way they all happened in 90 minutes. There's no way Lorne Michaels is leaving the set several times
to talk to all of these important men. He had one line that really got under my skin.
Sure.
Did anyone ask Edison what a light bulb was before he harnessed electricity? Shut up. Shut up. You asshole. Come on.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's talk about the cast here.
Okay. Okay.
If we're gonna start, with uh, let's start with Nicholas Braun.
Okay, so he plays both Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson. I don't know why they cast a 6'7" man. And by the way, I am not exaggerating. He is 6'7" to play two very important world celebrities.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, I'll get to it, but you tell me what you think about those portrayals.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, okay. First of all, Nicholas Braun, you know, love him in Succession, love to hate him in Succession. Clearly recognizable to me right away. First, they show him as Andy Kaufman. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting choice. And he was just doing, I didn't see or feel Andy really at all in that.
He had this hero moment, and everybody was laughing, and I was like, maybe I just don't get 70s humor.
Right.
I mean, that I'm trying to be generous and say a lot of this might be contextually not sensical to me in my own position. But, good God, the Jim Henson portrayal and the writing of it was weird because they portrayed him as socially inept, and I don't think he was that way. I watched this long form documentary about Jim Henson because
right.
I'm interested.
I saw that as well.
And it was like he was like prudish and weird. But in reality, he had a lot of enthusiasm for adult themed content. He originally had, the Muppets, sex and violence was his idea for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this was right. I think they really did him dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what on earth? And I know that you did some digging a little bit here, but what was the reasoning behind casting Nicholas Braun as both people?
Oh, I did some research. And I don't know. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Because, clearly, the tallest man in the room, I'm going to notice him.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but maybe it speaks to there's really flimsy characterization in this movie. I get it. It's about the chaos. It's about the ensemble of it all. But barely anyone gets any character development. The women get almost none. So I don't know what we're doing here. It's a very cluttered narrative, and there were several plots with very little development. I think they needed to focus more, maybe, or maybe not include those tidbits at all, like an all or nothing kind of deal.
Yeah. And I promise I won't talk about Nicholas Braun anymore after this one statement. But I thought, maybe they're doing a weird tribute to Andy Kaufman himself, because Andy Kaufman used to play different characters and pretend that they were different people, right? Because he had his Tony Clifton character that he would never break character as Tony Clifton. And maybe that's my only thought as to why they cast him as both characters, that it was some sort of weird tribute to Andy that clearly missed the mark.
Well, if that's the case, then they're doing Jim Henson even more of a disservice because he got the short end of that stick.
Yeah.
And when we're looking, I don't know, I think you gave a very, very generous read on that. I don't know why they did it. I wish they hadn't.
Yeah, and you know who else they did dirty? If we're talking about who they did dirty, they kind of did George Carlin dirty.
Do you know why?
I mean, they made him. They made him such an asshole.
Maybe he was kind of an asshole.
I mean, maybe, and then the whole drug overdose thing, minutes before the show, was that true? I mean, I don't know, or was that just legend?
Of it. Well, I have some things that I've written down that are accurate and inaccurate.
Okay.
Though I will say they compounded about 3 years worth of stuff into the 90 minutes before the first episode.
Okay.
So stuff like some of the sketches did not appear in the first episode. Some of them appeared way later. Some appeared in Dan Aykroyd's final season, which is odd. So some of the inaccuracies that I've noted are a fictionalized romance between Lorne Michaels and Rosie Schuster. Their relationship was effectively over at the time, so having them at this point of their relationship at this point in time is a little misleading. Let's see. Several sketches were from different points in the time, which is fine. One cast member from episode 1 was cut, which is odd, but if we're building a movie, I think I'm going to give them a break because it does make sense more in that way. Lorne Michaels hiring writer Alan Zweibel at a bar just before the show did not happen.
Okay.
He was hired a year earlier. Okay, so Milton Berle's inappropriate behavior and the depiction of NBC executive David Tebbott's resistance to airing the show were very exaggerated, though I did find out that Berle was while he was in fact not present for the premiere and did not get into a fight with Chevy Chase, according to an excerpt from the book Live from New York, he did expose himself to SNL writer Alan Zweibel, who was the one who was not hired in the bar. Some things that were accurate: Belushi would not sign the contract. Originally, Lorne was intended to host Weekend Update, and it was shifted to Chevy.
But was it shifted 5 minutes before airing?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Billy Crystal was expected to perform stand-up, and it did get cut. Garrett Morris did sing a song about killing whiteys. However, that happened later in time, not on premiere night. Chevy Chase did sneak in his fiancée, Jacqueline Carlin, into sketches, though that happened later, not on premiere night.
Okay.
And Rosie, again, as I mentioned, the marriage between Lorne Michaels and Rosie Schuster was over. And she also later dated Dan Aykroyd.
They sort of hinted at that in the movie. I thought.
Yeah.
Showed them flirting with each other, and he was asking her if he was going to, Lauren asked Rosie if she was going home with Dan that night. And she was like, well, it's opening night. I didn't think it was appropriate.
Okay. Well, then I guess that's okay. But the part about their relationship being like, maybe it's on the rocks, I don't know, that it was over. It was over by that point. Okay. So that was unnecessary conflict added to the movie. I don't know what to say, except it was, I guess if you go off of this is vibes, or this is a highly romanticized version of what happened, summing up years of conflict into one night, sure. But it just, I really am annoyed at the telling the legend part of this, as opposed to more of a focused and truthful telling. Like, I get some liberties have to be taken, but it's so masturbatory. Or it's like, wow, look at all this happened. Lorne didn't know what the show was until he was put on the spot. And then he described the greatest Saturday night in New York you've ever seen. And that's the vibe. It's all vibes. I want something grounded, a little more grounded. It does. I mean, it's a comedy, she says, with sarcastic quotes again. I don't think I laughed in this, but maybe it's because I've seen it twice.
There's so many inconsistencies too with, like, at one point the security guards are kind of annoyed to be there and acting like nothing ever happens there on Saturday night. And then they're accepting deliveries of bricks later. And then you realize that on a floor below, they're filming a variety show. So, like, which is it?
Yeah.
The Rumpus Room. So which is it? Were they filming a variety show a floor below also around 11 p.m.? Or was it a ghost town besides the show?
Truly, that shouldn't have been happening, right? Because it's so late.
Yeah. So that was really strange.
I could totally, the fact that TV legend Milton Berle was there at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, it doesn't make sense.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of this that I'm not sure if it happened or not. I have unverified, results to it. Like, did Johnny Carson call and act like a dick?
Oh, also,
I don't know.
That Johnny Carson impression was pretty bad. There's so many people that can do Johnny better than that. It was just like, didn't sound like him. I don't know.
It's I think the self-puffery is just it's too much for me. And ultimately, I didn't walk away with this feeling good about it or feeling like, wow, I love Saturday Night Live even more. Or this was totally in the vibe of Saturday Night Live. I just felt like, okay, you think you're hot shit and you want me to think it too. Well, I won't. I won't if you act like this.
Yeah.
It made me more stubborn and angry than I think than I think it should have, really. I did look into it because I noticed the actor who played Michael O'Donoghue was kind of really destructive and mean, and it turns out, yeah, that is actually pretty close to character. So, good job? Question mark. I think the actors generally did a good job. Maybe it's not 100% across the board, but there were some very good impressions for white guys in this movie.
For white guys or of white guys?
For, of, and by white guys.
There were. I thought that, I believe it's Matt Wood, did a really good job, honestly, as John Belushi. I bought it. Like a lot of those people, I bought it. Like I could see Dan Aykroyd and Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien disappeared into Dan Aykroyd. I was surprised because I know him for so many other things. And I think Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase was inspired casting. He did a very good job.
Mm-hmm. Chevy Chase is such a complicated figure in the world and throughout his career of entertainment and in entertainment. And I did think that it was interesting that they had the bit where Tebbit took him aside and was like, Johnny's not going to be around forever, because I don't know if you know this, but Chevy Chase actually got his own show for a little while.
I do know, and it was very short-lived.
It bombed.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can do it. We just talked about Hacks and the late night shuffle, and it's all very interesting drama, but now it's interesting to see that medium die. I guess that's a different conversation altogether. Finn Wolfhard was in this.
Yes, but kind of
what was he doing?
Underutilized. He was the NBC page outside trying to get people into the show, and I'm like, okay, well that's kind of a weird. It's just weird.
My sister was an NBC page.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, but over in Burbank for the Jay Leno Tonight Show.
Did she have some interesting, fun stories?
Any
that can be repeated?
I don't know if there's things I should repeat. She has she has her own thoughts about Jay that I don't think I should repeat. I do remember Jamie Lee Curtis was a guest once, and the person ushering people in was saying, and from Activia, Jamie Lee Curtis, which is the poop yogurt.
Right.
And the guy, some audience member was like, that's disrespectful. And then he went, she was in it, sir.
That's funny.
Well, I'll say this. My sister was an NBC page, but she no longer works in any facet of TV or digital media.
Yeah, so you can spill all the secrets. It's not like she's going to get fired.
I'm just saying she chose to leave.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that happens to a lot of us, right? We choose to leave, but then some of us can't. We can't leave. We're lifers.
I think choosing to leave is not a bad thing. I think knowing what is for you and what is right and making good choices for yourself and not sticking to some sort of like, oh, this is my idea of what it should be, and if I'm not this, I'm nothing. I think that's a mature choice.
I was almost on the Tonight Show, the Jay Leno Tonight Show.
Doing what, stand-up?
Yeah. I had a tight 5, let me tell you. No, what happened was Billy Ray Cyrus was the musical guest. And it had turned out, and I was there with him, and it turned out that his bass player in his band at the time was from France and didn't necessarily have the right paperwork to be on the show. So everybody was worried that if they couldn't get the right paperwork for her, that she couldn't perform. And so someone was like, Jason, learn the bass line of this song. So I'm like, so I'm like trying to learn one of his songs with a couple of hours to spare. I will tell you this. I was like dreading it, but also excited because it would be really cool to be on the Tonight Show. And then the paperwork was worked out and she was able to play and I didn't have to learn the song. But for like 15 minutes, I was possibly going to be on the Tonight Show.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. But hey, I got to hang out there. It was fun.
Yeah. Maybe what year was this?
This was, I think 2013 or 2014.
My sister could have been there.
She probably was. Yeah.
Cool. She was sitting there pissed off in her page uniform, not paying attention to you. Cool. Well, I'm a fan of Miley Cyrus, and I'll leave it there.
Okay. I've met her and she was super, super nice. So
great. I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that's not always the case.
I think she's the real deal.
I do have some feedback from the movie from a few original cast members.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
According to Reitman, original cast member Chevy Chase told him, "You should be embarrassed after watching the film." Non-original cast members Dana Carvey and David Spade commented that he knows that's funny because that's the most rough thing you can say to a director in that moment. Dan Aykroyd called it a stand-alone masterpiece.
Wait, I thought he said you should be embarrassed.
No, that's Chevy Chase.
Oh, of course.
That's two different men.
Sorry. I was envisioning Dan Aykroyd in my head.
No, Dan Aykroyd liked it.
Well, that's
Chevy Chase, not a fan. Though I would say those two are two of the best performances in the film. Truly.
I would give an honorable mention to Lamorne Morris playing Garrett Morris. And no relation. I thought for sure, like he
Morris is not that weird of a name.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I mean, I was in a band for many years with someone whose last name was also Miller, and we were not related.
Yeah, but that's also a pretty common name.
Yeah, but everyone thought we were. So anyway, yeah, Miller's super common. But anyway,
that's why you go by Charles.
Mm-hmm.
See, you know. Go ahead.
I do know. That's why I added my middle name in there. All right, so I really thought he nailed Garrett Morris, though. He got his mannerisms down. He got his vibe down. I was really impressed.
I really like Lamorne Morris. I've interviewed him before, and he was a delight to counter your saying Miley was great.
Oh, and there you go.
He's a very personable, funny, nice person in my experience.
That is always good to know.
It's not always the case.
No, yeah, I know. It really isn't.
It's such a nice surprise.
I wonder, I felt like John Baptiste's musical performances were great. And I'm not saying that his acting was bad, but I'm wondering, was Billy Preston that much of a dick too? Because there was really
I don't think he was a dick.
I felt like there was this moment between him and between Billy Preston and Garrett Morris, where it seemed like Billy was almost picking on him. Or
a little, but then he gave him the weed to help him out.
He did.
I think he was just ribbing him,
Yeah.
I think that's just guys being dudes.
He gave him weed and cocaine. Don't forget.
See, what a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He might be rough around the edges, but he's a nice guy. He gives you drugs, and drugs are expensive. Remember that, kids. Only good friends give you drugs.
Why does our podcast always come back to cocaine?
Because I don't know. We're covering SNL in the 70s. It was bound to happen.
That's true. But I mean, there's been so many other episodes where we've discussed like knowing if someone's on cocaine or not.
Oh, because I don't know when someone's on cocaine.
Okay. Well,
like I think that guy's weird, and then maybe he's on cocaine. I don't know. I don't know very much about drugs, and I find them interesting. Is that so wrong?
No, I mean, living in Hollywood, I feel like maybe that someone is on cocaine could be the default. And then, maybe they're not on cocaine. Maybe that's a better way to go.
I work more in news, so people are more drunk than they're on cocaine.
Oh.
I know when someone's drunk.
Yeah.
And now that's a brag. All right. I think, do you have any last thoughts on this before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I did enjoy pieces of it, right? Like, I would say it was okay. Hey, you know what? I would say it was edited well. Like when they did the musical montages, especially when they're they did a good job building up to the end, but then they kind of let me down in a weird way. But the whole build up where they're doing nothing from nothing means nothing, and they're doing a montage, everyone coming in. I enjoyed.
That's a damn good song too.
It is
good in the moment.
Yeah, so it like really worked. I thought that a lot of the performances themselves were great. I thought a lot of the actors did a great job, like we said before. But it just was so unbelievable to me that it just kept pulling me out of it, down to laying the bricks when there's 30 seconds left.
I think a lot of the issues were conceptual and writing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, most of the actors were pretty good, if not great. Yeah. And the directing, decent. Music, very decent. I'm not saying it's a total train wreck, but it's not an all or nothing kind of thing. It's like, right. Well, it wasn't technically, when I say technically, like technical performance, there was nothing wrong with that. I really bristled against the way they did it.
That's fair.
Yeah, though a lot of people like it. I think it has mixed to positive reviews. According to Rotten Tomatoes, which you can trust as a metric or not, 78% of 243 critics' reviews were positive, with an average rating of 7 out of 10. The consensus reads, quote, jazzed up by an excellent ensemble that captures the essence, if not exact likeness, underline, of SNL's original cast and crew. Saturday Night is a frenetic and nostalgic celebration of one of showbiz's most auspicious debuts. Cinema Score gave it a B+ on the A+ to F- scale. And
that seems a little generous to me, honestly.
What is the grade you would give it?
I would give it what IMDb has it on, honestly. It's 6.9.
So what is that, a D+?
Yeah, kind of, or like a D. I would give it a C.
I think that's a little low.
That's a little.
I would give it C+, B-.
C+.
Around there.
I'll stick with C+.
I didn't laugh, and it was supposed to be a comedy. It was really self-indulgent. It was often dull. It was messy. Mm-hmm. It had a lot of stuff going on. But that's not a story. That doesn't make a story. It starts to feel like, what is this? Is it something? Is it nothing? I don't know. And that's not a good way to walk away from a film.
No,
that's not an A. That's not a B. Okay, fine. C+. That's what I'll give it.
Yeah. And I mean, we watched it twice. Both of us.
Yeah. Let's watch a good movie next time.
All right.
Though our favorite show is about to come back. So we're going to have to make a segment for that, which is the Gilded Age. Obviously, look at us. Yeah. We love the Gilded Age. Both of us.
We dress in,
We've got a cowboy and a foul-mouthed, cynical woman, and we love the Gilded Age.
What can we say? Guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Though, I mean, there's parts of that I really bristle against too. But...
Oh, yeah. It is not without its flaws.
You know what? Rich people are always right and good. They have the good of everyone at heart, always.
Oh, I know you believe that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's definitely... I wish we could have more billionaires, if anything. Oh... I hope those listening know what I'm really like.
Oh, I think they could read the sarcasm.
Okay. Well, that's why we have video now, dude. Mm-hmm. Now you can read my minutia of facial expressions, and I'm really bad at lying through my face, so you'll know.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps up this episode of Intro Skippers. There was not an intro to skip because this was a movie, but it is available on Netflix, not Peacock, right now. If you want to watch SNL, that's available on Peacock, not Netflix.
Yep.
I recommend watching SNL more than watching Saturday Night, if that makes sense.
It does. And
all right, everyone. Thank you for watching or listening, or I guess if you're watching, you're doing both. But thank you under the umbrella of that.
all right.
Take care.
Have a good.
There we go.
There we
I messed
go.
up my audio. End the podcast. End the podcast.
Ah!